Today on the show, Justin Turner gone too soon. New eats at Chavez Ravine. Dodgers opening day roster predictions. And GM Kevin?
Welcome to Happy Fun Time Sports, presented by DodgersNation.com. Always remember to visit DodgersNation.com for breaking Dodgers news, notes, and analysis. I am Kevin.
And I am FRG, and I look much more sunburnt this week because I was in Arizona.
Yeah, you got a nice little base tan going on there.
Yeah, I was baked. Almost lobster, but the room we were in didn't have any butter, so I didn't want to get full lobster. So if I'm going out to Arizona and we're doing lobster, do it right.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, a lot of white people out there.
Yes, a lot of everybody. Yeah. And we saw the Google self-driving car, so that was really creepy,
awesome.
Which apparently killed somebody.
It did.
Later that weekend.
Yes, it did.
I am not, not an accomplice, but...
this is why you can't give knives to self-driving cars. They will go out and stab people.
They go to the bars.
They get drunk.
Not a lot to do in Arizona.
Dangerous.
Anyways, let's start the show. Yes, it's the lightning round where we bring you news and exciting happenings that have gone on around camp and around the Dodgers for the week of March 23rd.
Very quickly.
And the big news, let's really dig into this quick one.
I don't have a hat, but I'm taking it off here and I'm bowing
The big news, Justin Turner will be out for multiple weeks. They're not giving a timeline, but he had his wrist done broke on a hit by pitch that right when I saw it, I was like, ouchie.
Yeah.
Ouchie. It was a small non-displaced fracture in his wrist, which is about the best break, I guess you can sort of get. I'm not a doctor, not a doctor, but he doesn't need to have surgery, so that's big.
It doesn't require them having to really go heavy on setting it either, which makes things a little bit easier. And it's a quicker time frame for him to start swinging a bat again and for him to start, fielding and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Luckily, it's for swinging, it's a bad hand to have broke, but we have comparison, so I did look it up a little bit, and they had talked about it in the past. The most recent comparison was Trey Turner, shortstop for the Nationals. It happened to him, I think it was last year, and he missed just about 2 months. Yeah. So that sucks.
Well, luckily, Justin Turner is older, and as you know, as you get older, you heal much more quickly.
Yeah. George Springer, our mortal enemy in 2015, I think he suffered about the same thing too, and it was roughly 2 months. So I'm expecting Turner in there opening day.
He should be ready.
Yeah, come on, we're the Dodgers. We're
March
supposed to
29th.
have the best stuff. Yeah, the best stuff to do this.
I hope they just inadvertently give him Tommy John surgery too, just because.
So that's going to be the big thing. Is obviously it opens a door for somebody else, and we'll talk more later about the opening day rosters and our predictions. But we're losing your number 3 hitter. You're losing somebody who's going to put up 4 to 6 wins above replacement per year.
And your clubhouse leader.
But, he's also somebody that missed a month time or so last year with the hamstring injury. So it shows we have the depth to withstand losing somebody like a Turner. Last season, we had the depth to withstand losing somebody like an Adrian Gonzalez. So
and a Kershaw.
So this team is deep. I mean, the Kershaw would hurt a lot more this year, but the team is definitely deep enough. One important thing about it, though, we got Turner's good human response, as of course all the fans were out in full force on the Twitter, donating their left arms and whatnot. But none of them were more important than superhero kid. I think it was a 2-year-old doctor. I'm pretty sure he was a doctor.
I want to say he was the Doogie Howser of our generation.
So Doogie
Howser
on Twitter. Follow Doogie Howser on Twitter. He was very concerned, and he does want to kiss Mr. Turner's boo-boo and make it better. No word has come down on whether or not he was able to get an appointment yet. So we're hoping that
once he does that, that's why Turner's going to be ready for opening day. Is this kid is going to magically make everything go away.
The best.
Yeah.
All HGH and steroids.
Exactly. Solidarity with that child. And now for the most important announcement of the season. This is crucial, absolutely crucial to the Dodgers getting back to the World Series and winning it for the first time since '98. The new food choices at Dodger Stadium have been announced. And so you'll see them up on the screen here. The first one is the veggie burger, which neither of us care about.
I don't understand that first word.
I heard burger, but then I heard it's like a bad word that makes it seem like a bad thing. So
I think it means that the cow was fed veggies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I like that.
Okay,
yeah, I'm okay with that.
Super meat.
And then next is the Cheeto Lote. It's basically a Cheeto elote of flaming hot Cheetos. Not in for this. I'm not down.
Oh, that's going to sell so hot.
It's going to sell really well, and I'm not in. I'm absolutely not in.
He was born in Pico, but he's not that Pico.
I'm not Pico enough for flaming hot Cheetos elote. I'm just saying. Next is the King's Hawaiian Lobster Roll. Now, here's another one that I'm not in for.
I'm out.
Only because I'm allergic to shellfish, so this would kill me. But
if you see him
looks
at
like
the
it's
park,
probably really good. But if you see me at the park,
buy it for him.
Buy me that.
You can't reject free food.
Absolutely, I cannot. It's literally against my DNA. R.I.P. me. And finally, this looks amazing. The pretzel chicken croissant. I'm all about it.
I'm in. Do they have DoorDash for that? Uber Eats here?
Possibly.
Come to the HFTS Estates and Studio.
Yes.
Please
we can
bring
get you here delivering that chicken pretzel croissant. I'm in.
Probably should have eaten before this segment.
I think we should have. But now it's time for our favorite segment.
Bay of the Week.
It's time again for us to give you our bays of the week. And you know what? You started last week, so I'll go ahead and start this week.
Damn straight.
My bay of the week, because we're now coming up on the beginning of the Dodger season, and this person is generally my bay of the season.
You're making me your bay of the
FRG. Not at all. It's actually the lovely and talented Alana Rizzo. I love me some Alana Rizzo. She is
great.
smart. She knows the Dodgers back and forth. She's interesting, and man, she's gorgeous. It's just the total package. Absolutely love Alana Rizzo. She's my bay of the season, but also my bay of the week this week.
Yeah, the Rizzo does quite good.
Yes, she does. Keep doing what you're doing, Alana.
So apparently we're kind of staying where this is our ladies of the week.
Ooh.
Because I'm going with the Real Housewives of Chavez Ravine, which is a newer podcast. They have about 5 episodes deep, but
I've heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah, they make you feel just all of the tingles in your special areas. So give them a listen.
My elbow.
Yeah, elbow.
Yeah.
I'm more of a shoulder guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I need an adult.
That's my special area. But yeah, check them out. They are funny, and hopefully, like at us. Is this at?
Don't at me, bro. Or actually, no, dude, at me.
Us.
Yeah, at us both, actually.
At us.
Yeah.
Okay.
FRG and I love all our viewers, except you, Greg. And we love doing this show. However, producing the show can be expensive and lengthy. Because of that, we created a Patreon page. Patreon's the website that allows content creators to offer benefits to fans in exchange for a monthly sponsorship pledge. Happy Fun Time Sports, despite being less entertaining than a Tijuana Donkey Show, also has its own Patreon page at patreon.com/HFTS.
So opening days coming this week.
I'm excited.
Our beloved Dodgers will be taking on the worst human beings on the planet.
Yes.
Which is anybody wearing a Giants uniform.
Agreed.
So we'll take this opportunity. I think it's about the right time to start discuss our potential opening day roster and see how far off we are, because we're the geniuses here, of course.
Obviously.
We have our locks, and with the latest cuts coming down Tuesday, our boy Verdugo and our big time boy Rocky Gale. Who? He's
no idea.
He's a catcher type. They were cut. I think now the total of players in camp is down to like 34 or something like that.
Yeah.
So we got to trim it down to 25.
Mm-hmm.
So
we also lost Jake Peter a couple days ago too. And that's
Peter was set down, and of course with the loss of JT, we see some of the locks on the screen, and of course you have your Bellingers, your Kershaws, your Puigs.
Yes.
I think they're gonna make it, but we do have some tough decisions, and it's about that time you're gonna start making those tough decisions, especially going into the freeway series with Anaheim.
Definitely.
It's going to be a lot of
A lot of home runs off of Ohtani is what it's going to be a lot of.
It's going to be like on the positional side, it's going to be, I'm looking at 4 people, and I'm pretty sure 4 people for 3 spots. There's going to be a Tolles, a Peterson, or a Thompson, or a Farmer, Kyle Farmer. And I'm kind of looking for those 3. You could see Tolles.
Yeah,
making absolutely.
I mean, I think just based off of so we had talked a little earlier in the show about Justin Turner's injury, and we're kind of getting into that. And I think because of his injury, it kind of moves things around for me. So I think what we're going to see until he comes back is we're going to see a platoon at third base, possibly with one more person aside from these 2. But I think Forsythe and Seager, because I think what they're going to do eventually, I think Seager is eventually going to be our third baseman. Is kind of my thought process, is that once Turner is done, once he's retiring or he's just moving on after his contract, they're going to move Seager over to third base is my thought process. I could be wrong.
I think you're a little early on that one, but
I could be. But I could not
him
be.
so hard.
At me hard. And then what we would have at second base is, this is more of just what I would like to see. I really like Chris Taylor at second base. I really do. And so I think Quique and Taylor platooning at second, along with Old Man Chase as well. And then in the outfield, I think you're going to have a lot of Puig, Tolles, Kemp. Because I think
if you have Taylor,
if you've got Taylor at second base, you have Puig, Tolles, Kemp in the outfield. And I really like Tolles as a center fielder. Granted, Taylor is probably the best center fielder on the team, but I also really like him as playing in the infield and playing at second base. But Tolles is really solid out there. Kemp, you just have to put him where he's not going to be in too much harm. Just cross your fingers, hope he catches everything.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I would think. But what are you thinking?
Well, I mean, Roberts has kind of already not even alluded to it, but straight outright said it, that the fair share, the majority of the time at third base is going to be Logan Forsythe, which makes the most sense. I mean, he was a guy who was drafted as a third baseman, came up through the minors as a third baseman, but really was forced to play second because of just roster crunches and all that. So you're going to see a lot of Forsythe at third, and I'm seeing like what you're saying with the rotation at third. I'm thinking more at second base. You're going to see a lot of Quique Hernandez. I think that's going to be sort of his spot to lose, because he's had a really great spring. My good personal friend Quique, and
Quique, add him.
Add me on Twitter, bro. He's had a great spring, and he's talking about, look, I'm ready. I want to hit all-handed pitching. Yeah. And he feels he can, and he's shown it this spring. I think he had a 2 home run game, or at least a 5 RBI game against a righty I think it was last week. So Quique's shown he's ready. And this is where I'm looking at like Farmer now being, because I was already on the fence about, okay, we did the 3 catchers for a while last year, and it makes sense. Kyle Farmer is hitting really good. He's showing he's ready to go. So you see more Farmer getting a little bit of time at third for one. Agreed. But being more so the backup catcher, and Barnesy getting time at second base. So it's going to be a little bit of a rotation between Barnes, Utley, and the other guy to set with the face.
Oh, the guy with the face, yeah.
Quique. Since Kemp is here, you don't really need that right-handed outfielder so much with Quique like he's been. The lefty crushing outfielder. You have him playing second, and I think this is a really huge opportunity to show what Quique can do.
And up his trade value quite a bit.
Thompson is probably going to sneak his way onto the roster now because he's had a pretty decent spring.
He's solid. He really is solid.
Defensive lapses notwithstanding, but he's still a very good player, and he's out of options, or at least he has the potential to be a very good player. But I think unfortunately on that list, Peterson's going to be the odd man out, and he's going to see a lot of time and time in AAA. But what the big thing is, he's earned it. He's not hitting. And
for sure,
he had a good postseason. He had a good World Series, but he needs to figure out his life again.
He is not. I mean, just his entire career, he has not been consistent. And if you're not consistent with the amount of talent on the Dodgers' current roster, your ass is going to be shipped to AAA.
See you in OKC.
Absolutely. All right, let's talk about pitching.
Pitching. So
this is a big concern. I know for a lot of Dodger fans, I see a lot of concern about this when we're checking through the message boards and looking at a lot of Dodgers Nation
or
people.
when you're looking at just listening to us bash on Baez.
Pedro Baez. Pedro Buez. Thank you very much.
Fear the Buez, but it's gonna be the same thing. But this is really one. There's like 4 guys for one spot there. So the names you have are Josh Fields, who is most likely the lock to take that last spot. JT Chargois, who is a fellow they picked up off of, I think, waivers
from Paris, right?
Paris, yes. A couple of weeks ago, and of course we have our boy Adam Liberator.
The Liberator.
Liberator or the traveling sideshow Pat Venditti, who Venditti, he's off. He's AAA, which I believe his contract allows. So he's depth. Liberator, sorry boy, you depth because we have Scott Alexander there,
absolutely,
and Singrani. So you have lefties. We don't need a third lefty. I like the Chargois kid because he's one of those classic Dodger reclamation projects.
Yes, which they've been pretty popular.
Rick Honeycutt
recently
has been.
Rick Honeycutt is brilliant.
He's been demand when it comes to that.
And then adding now, we talked about it a couple weeks ago, but having Mark Pryor now as part of that staff is just
he's the injury
icing
coach.
on the cake.
He's the injury coach for sure. But I like it's a toss up though, definitely between Fields and Chargois, and I think just because of how much he's been known and what he did last season, Josh Fields should and probably will get that last spot. But
big question. Baez or a vacuum?
Man, that's a hard one. I mean, the vacuum sucks when you want it to, though.
That's a good point.
So, ding
vacuum.
on the vacuum.
Got it.
Yes. So, rotation-wise, there's a concern. There's a whole bunch of concern. Okay, well, the rotation's going to be laid out as Kershaw, I think it's Wood, Hill, Maeda, and Ryu. I believe that's how it's laid out. That's how Doc Roberts has said it.
What's his name? Hill is 4th.
Is 4th? Okay,
yeah, so it's Kershaw, Wood, Maeda, Hill, Ryu. Yeah.
And the rest here on Gilligan's Isle.
Yes. The skipper and Marianne.
So the concern really, I mean, you have the concern there in Ryu, Wood, and Hill because there's not a lot of innings pitched there, especially in 2017.
Yeah.
So the depth is definitely going to be challenged there because now there's really depth-wise you have Buehler, who's going to be the first guy to come up. Anybody? Buehler? Anybody? Anyone? And then Brock Stewart, who absolutely, and Stripling, but Stripling's going to be in the pen, so like he's going to have to shuttle back and forth, which really,
he works as a long reliever / spot starter.
He works as a long reliever, but he made his way up into like a 7th inning guy.
Yeah,
even sometimes an 8th inning guy.
That's true.
And
not to interrupt, but I do have a decent amount of faith in Brock Stewart. You know, I think Brock Stewart is a solid spot starter when we need him to come up and do
he profiles so much better as a reliever.
Yeah. No, you're not wrong.
And I think that this should be his season to become a reliever because he could become somebody who's at 7th, 8th, 9th, really not 9th, but
maybe not 9th inning.
Emergency 9th inning guy.
Screw you, Kenley.
But like Wood, I've been talking about good Wood this spring because he's
you
done.
Often talk about good Wood.
He's done very well in his last couple of starts. I mean, his stuff is just really on. So I'm expecting, potentially a full season of what we had in the first half of last season. He should be challenging for another 16, 18 win season. But the innings, that's going to be the big thing. Boy, you got to put up your innings this year.
I'm going to make a huge prediction here, and I'm not being facetious. I'm genuinely making a huge prediction here.
Sounds like such a lie already.
A lot of people are talking about wanting to bring in Chris Archer, and it's like, hey, let's give up random guy from AAA for Chris Archer. Probably not going to happen. Here's what I want to see done. You know who I want and who I think is possible, who I think is gettable this year, especially around the trade deadline, is King Felix Hernandez. So I think by the trade deadline, the Mariners are going to be out of it, because that's a tough division they're in. I think the Angels are better this year. Obviously, Houston is Houston. There's a lot of teams in that division, and the Mariners are not at the top of that. So I think they're out of the playoff chase at that point.
They definitely keep trying, but I don't think
it's Band-Aids. Everything with the Mariners is Band-Aids.
You know,
So
D.
here's
Gordon
my
in
thing.
center, and Cano, Kyle Seager, and all that. They have that skeleton, but they're just not quite there.
They have some solid guys, but they're not there. And you know, King Felix is getting up there in age a little bit. He's 31 now.
Yeah.
But he's only got, so he makes $26 million this year. If the Dodgers pick him up at the trade deadline, a lot of that is gone and already paid for by the Mariners. He makes $27 million next year, which is not a problem because they're getting under that luxury tax. And then he's got a 2020 club option and then a free agent.
Ooh.
So it's a friendly contract. The Dodgers could get that. Sure, he's 31 years old. He had some injury issues last year, but he's been talking about how he feels a lot stronger. He's done a lot of rehabbing. He's looked solid in limited action and spring training thus far. So his value is a little bit lower right now than it was if you tried to get him like 5 years ago when he was one of the best pitchers in baseball.
Absolutely.
So here's my trade idea for getting King Felix Hernandez at the trade deadline. You give up Grandal, who can platoon with Mike Zunino at pitcher, or at catcher. Sorry, we're gonna make Grandal into a pitcher too.
Well, and Grandal could even play first base pretty well too,
Exactly.
which is another position they kind of need some help at.
Absolutely, that was another thought. You throw in right-handed pitcher, minor league pitcher Dustin May, who profiles as a number 2, number 3, but he's got some talent. He's young. He adds to their farm system. He's the number 9 prospect in the Dodger system right now. And you also throw in Edwin Rios.
Ooh, giving up Rios.
So giving up Rios, and I like Edwin Rios a lot, but here's the thing. There's no spot for him in a National League team. There's no spot for him on the Dodgers. He's a masher. He can hit. He's solid. He's not a great fielder. Nelson Cruz is 37 and is a free agent, unrestricted free agent after this season. This is your replacement. You've got a 19-year-old kid who can just mash and can already hit major league pitching. You plug him in as your DH, and he can also come in as a first baseman if you need him to. He's definitely not an outfielder. But that's a guy that, you know, can come in and make your team a little bit better as well. And now you've got that young guy taking over for Cruz. But you get a pitcher out of it, a guy who's got some upside. You've got a catcher who can also play first base and who's a solid player. And then you've got your DH of the future. And exactly. So I think that's a really solid move. I think it's a fair trade all the way around.
Are you trying to sell it right now?
I am trying to sell it right now. Andrew Friedman and staff, make that trade, but wait until the trade deadline. But what that does is that now gives us another elite arm in the rotation and can push Maeda down into that, depending on how he's done this year.
Or like Ryu out of the rotation.
Or even
whatever,
Ryu, depending on how Ryu's playing too. But then that gives you a rotation of Kershaw, Wood, Hernandez, Hill, and Ryu or Maeda, or both if you want.
Or by that point, Urias or Walker Buehler.
Walker Buehler, exactly. I think that gives you a lot more options and it makes you a lot more dangerous going into the playoffs.
That's been the show. Find us on HappyFunTimeSports.com or check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and on Snapchat by searching HFT Sports. Be sure to visit DodgersNation.com for breaking Dodgers news, analysis, and opinion. And of course, as always, we'll see you next week. Go Blue.